Welcome to Team Oasis Podcast, Season 2, Episode 8. And in this amazing episode, I present to you a very big guest, Liam Brown of Knights GG. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm the corporate partnerships manager at Knights GG, or as I like to call us, Knights Esports Group. And I've been a gamer since I was 8 years old, and now I get to be in a behind the scenes role and help to legitimize gaming as a passion for everybody, and esports as a career for anybody that wants to be a part of gaming. So I'm a big fan of being a part of this subculture and helping it grow, both in the eyes of the young and in the eyes of the old. So it's a little bit about me.
Hmm. I can really tell how passionate you are about it. Like, we spoke a little bit before that, before the recording, but it's just like you actually care, and like you can tell the way you go in depth about it. It's nice to see that, especially from someone as big as you.
Yeah, I mean, like it was because I'm still part of the generation, and like Generation Alpha, and I believe Gen Z can't appreciate this, but like more millennials and possibly a little bit older were part of the generation that was viewed as, oh, well, if you game as and gaming is one of your pastimes, then that's not the best. Like that's seen as something that
Hmm.
has a negative connotation to it, whether parents are talking about it or you're talking to somebody else about this. It's just like, oh, well, you should be out, I don't know, doing something else other than
Yeah.
gaming, which I for a kid, like, that's a lot to handle.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
being a part of that generation, and also having the parents that I did who told me, hey, we have no problem with you playing video games. We have no problem with hanging out with your friends at their houses, playing games that are like rated M for mature. You just need to build in your other responsibilities into your day to day. So I believe that upbringing and timing really helped drive me
Yep.
into this path, in really the pursuit of bringing people together. We'll,
Hmm.
we'll we'll get into this later, but a big thing that I'm about is bringing people together. Specifically in the field of gaming, because
Yep.
it has all of the same benefits of perhaps traditional sports, and instilling some of those like values into anybody that's a part of it. And also it's for everybody. We talk about, like, there's professional CS:GO teams. I think it's like the Silver Foxes, and I think they're out of Sweden, and the youngest member on their team was like 69 or 70 years old.
Oh
And
wow.
you've got Twitch
Hmm.
streamers playing Skyrim, and they're in their 70s,
Yeah.
and they're going in and they're reading the books and they're exploring the world. So gaming truly is for everybody. Um, and we really saw that in the pandemic. So I really pounced on this opportunity, and I was blessed enough to be based in the same city as my organization. So um, applying was crazy for me because I was just like,
Yeah.
all of my hopes and dreams were like in this application folder that I'm
How
handing
long?
over. But though the that was 2 years ago. It was about two
Okay.
years ago, 2 3
Oh,
years ago,
sweet.
and
Oh, nice.
um, the organization, so Knights Esports Group, is affiliated with the Steelers, the and Pirates, and Wiz Khalifa and
Mm.
his Taylor gang. So very much mainstream traditional entities invested in the
Yep.
organization from early on. Back in, the organization was founded in 2017,
Mhm.
all the way back then.
Yep.
And I found that the offices were in the same building as the Steelers offices. And I just had my manila envelope with like my resume, my cover letter. Um, I had I had a white paper that I written, and then a couple of like face masks because this was COVID at the
Mm.
time.
Yep.
And uh, I had a letter addressed to the CEO, and I just put it I just put it all, and I go there, and nobody's in the office, and I'm about to like faint. I'm just like, what is going on? There was one woman in the Steelers offices. She was one of their heads of marketing, and I was like, hi, I'm not somebody that you know, but I was wondering if the Knights are still, or if you could drop this off for me. She's like, well, they still get their mail, so yeah, I could totally drop it off for you. So like, all my hopes and dreams rested with this one woman that I didn't know, and didn't know me or didn't care, and then she just like put it in, and then I got a call back in like a
Mm.
week, and then I went through the traditional round of
Yep.
interviews. So that was kind of my entrance into the professional level of esports. That was my first panic, uh, and and
Mm.
so now it's been a really cool journey since then. So that's kind of like my origins in this space.
Yeah. It's that's really cool, especially as you're so new into the night scene as well. What's it called? So you've had like I guess a lot of experience right in those 2 years. And were you so was that in like the pandemic? Would you say like still
Yeah.
like when it was quite big? two
Yeah,
years ago. Yeah.
so my senior year was the last year. Okay, so COVID happened
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was kind of like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And then the I had my senior year coming up. My
Mm-hmm.
senior year was the first school year, full school year where nobody knew what was going on. COVID was still going crazy. You
Yep.
know, no classes, like no, like professors were still too scared to come
Mm.
to class, and
Yep.
everybody was looking for something to do to bring each other together. And I found that gaming, uh, and esports and the esports discussion never stopped. The tech company that I was working for at that time, CDW, they're pretty big here in the states, and they
Okay.
uh, were doing a huge push with their Lenovo's Legion line of gaming laptops and gaming computers.
Mm.
So I'm like, this is really interesting. And I was in a sales role, so I was just in charge of like finding
Yep.
like new clients and keeping those relationships because I was the campus intern. So I was just supposed to like, keep things warm for the corporate team. Uh, I come to find that the esports community is still, thriving, and there's a bunch of different gaming organizations still and clubs still at large at my school. So I started, um, bringing them all together into meetings with like I found out that the athletics department didn't want anything to do with esports. They were letting it, campus recreation department handle it, who was also in charge of like overseeing all the different clubs. And I went to University of Pittsburgh, so I knew my way around all of the campus. So I was going into like different offices and different departments and finding out who was the right person to talk to, because I was like, look, we
Mm.
can do something here. Like we can give the students something.
Yep.
But at that time, like they really weren't ready. The our branch campus over in the Greensburg area was already investing in an esports program, and I went to the main campus, and
It's
they didn't really want
interesting,
to.
you know, because
Yeah,
like what's it called?
it's
How
yeah,
so many colleges are getting involved with esports nowadays. Like it wasn't so big now, but like within the past 2 years, it's blown up so much.
yeah. As a recruitment tool and an education pathway
Mm.
and a student engagement tool, it is a really valuable investment for colleges
Yep.
and universities. Plus, we have like, we got organizations like NACE now, National Association of Collegiate Esports, and you can and any and there's so many different gaming titles you can compete in or pursue scholarships. And now you can take that thing that your parents told you to stop doing, and you can use it to pay for your entire college education, and you can use it to finance your education in whatever major that you choose at that university. So I think that it's very important for people to understand that the path to in esports can really help grow whatever entity is a part of.
Yep.
So whether it doesn't whether you're in middle school, high school, college, um, but my school didn't want to do anything with it, and I had created the gaming Discord for my school. I was running it, and I was trying to run like small events there. I wasn't really getting any
What game?
traction. It was we were doing Among Us. We were doing like a bunch of
Okay.
like smaller Among Us events because I was picking like free
Mm.
games that
I love
anybody
that
could like.
game.
Yeah, I was like, anybody can play
Mm.
this on desktop,
Yeah. Yeah.
iPad, tablet, and like phones. So let's get people in, and um, come to find it's like I'm approaching graduation, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I knew that I wanted to do this,
Yep.
so graduation was gonna be in April. It was January. No, yeah, it was January, and I was like, whatever. And I just got everything in the little envelope, and then I went out and to the offices. I remember it. I had my student ID, and with my ID, I could get access to like the different buses and the
Hmm.
trains around the city.
Yep.
So. I took like a student ride over, and then that's how
Mm.
that was like the lead up, and then my entrance into the space. So that's where I
Yep.
really I found that they were hiring, but I didn't really know what role I wanted to be a part of. So just went in, and it was game changer from there.
Oh, I could imagine, man. Like this opportunity, I could imagine was huge, especially what's it called when you go out of college and you have a career in gaming. So like something like I know you said back before as well, like a lot of parents like were against gaming and stuff. What's it called? But yeah, it's amazing how what's it called how esports is a full-time job now. And
No, and yeah, I think it just like with traditional sports,
yeah,
uh, the employment adjacent to the competitive stage is also on the rise.
mm,
You don't have to go in just being a competitive player. You can be a lawyer, you can be in marketing, and you can be
true.
uh like in content, you can be the head of creative. They
Yep.
need all of the people that you would find at any other
Hmm.
organization or traditional sports team, and they need those kinds of people. So
Yep.
really, I think the only thing that we need is more people to come into the space, like to
Mm,
help expand it. But
true.
yeah.
And there's so many underrated like games out there as well. What's it called? That like their scene is just waiting to grow. And I always say this like we need more orgs in the scene. Like there's like so many orgs out there, right? What's it called? Where they're like the smaller games, there'll be one good esports team and then like none for anything else. Right? It's like it's cool, right? But none of the other players have an opportunity. It's like yeah, that's how I feel about the Smash team. But yes,
Yeah, no, you bring up a really good point. The fighting games arena has been so grassroots, and that's been
mm,
good and bad. It's been
yep,
good because it allows everybody to self-organize, and in gaming, I feel like you really need that because the intervention of the developers as a governing body can be good and bad for so many different reasons. But
yep,
if you keep the entire like event scene like grassroots, it'd be like, oh, okay, like we can definitely get into this.
mm,
And I think that more people need to come in as events and self-organize as self-organized tournament organizers, because you might
yep,
have games like Pal World, which is like really viral right now, or like
true,
the finals. And I don't see events happening in these. I see people playing together, but I don't really
mm,
see any like cool events. And the technology does need to catch up.
yep,
We do need to give people the ability to uh, just like with Fortnite, how they have their creative mode, or just like Minecraft and Roblox have had that sandbox experience where they allow the players to come in and create cool new experiences so that everybody can be a part of this game changing ability of
mm,
fabricating like your own thoughts and ideas and wants and needs
yep,
into an experience and sharing it with people.
mm, true,
And we don't the technology needs to develop so that more people are able to push in that direction and not just be part of a box where, oh, okay, these are the games, these are the most popular games right now, um so I'm only going to be existing in this box. So
yep.
that's my soapbox speech right there. That's how we bring more people in.
Well, I agree. I really do. And what's it called? You see so many of these games. What's it called? Like, those like, oh, what do you call them? I'd say like these like small time esports games. Those like. Let's give me an example. Hyperscape or what's another good one? What's that game? What's that like Rogue Company? That's it. Like these small like esport companies
Oh
show up, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and you think, oh, this could be the next killer or something of some other game, right? And then it
Yeah.
doesn't take off, right? Yeah, but sometimes the
Yeah.
ideas are really good, right? What's it called? But the player base, right, is so saturated with other games and genres. It's like,
Yeah.
ah,
No, you
yeah,
you bring up a really good point there, and I feel like there's a lot of developers that don't take into account that the launch and management of a gaming title is like a champagne tower.
mm,
Everything is like these small little glass champagne flutes that could so easily tip over. And when the whole thing tips over, then your game falls into obscurity.
yep,
There's what is it, Gamer Ranks on YouTube, and they talk about, hey, coming up this next month, these are the top gaming titles coming out in February. I was just watching it actually like an hour ago, and
okay,
there's like 10 new games coming out or no, like 15 games that they were reporting on going into next month.
Mm.
And I remember, you probably remember, but back when like E3 was happening, and we had
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I remember when Assassin's Creed 2 was coming out, and I was watching
Mm.
G4 and X Play,
Yep.
and they were reporting on all the new game mechanics, and I was like, wow, like this is something. Now, like, for better or for worse,
It's
we
too
have stuff
samey.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like we have so much cool stuff coming out that people need to understand, like, hey, there's always going to be cool stuff coming out. So how do we like flip this and make this seem
Mm.
stand out? What do we give to the fans? What kind of like troubleshooting and like
Yep.
tech support capabilities do we need to provide so people are like, hey, I ran into this problem, and because I ran into this problem, I'm not going to play this game anymore. Like minimizing that, making it so that the each of the players can organize with them and their friends easily. And then nobody does that. Well, except for Riot Games. I feel like Riot's done a really really
They're the
good job
king.
of that.
Yeah, yeah.
They're really the king. Like we work pretty closely with those guys, and we're partners with them,
Natsuino.
and they like own. I think the math is like 55 or 65% of the global esports space.
Oh
So
wow, that's crazy.
because because they're so data driven.
Yep.
We talk to them, and obviously, like with League of Legends, they ran it successfully for like 10 or like 10 years before they
Mm.
started expanding into different gaming titles, like with
Yep.
TFT, and now Project L, and also like Valorant. They were consumer focused first, and they were constantly there with bug fixes and stuff like that. They were constantly providing like a space for the fan base, and they were measuring everything as they go by. So I remember when they were talking about Valorant, um, they took all of the data they had just collected over the course of League of Legends, and they just like ported it into a first person shooter title so that they were able
Mm.
to compete in most different genres. They kind
Yep.
of conquered MOBAs, and now they're going to focus on FPS. Now with Project L,
Mm.
they're gonna focus in on like fighting games, and
Project
the ground.
L?
Project L, dude, you got to check
Nah,
this out.
nah, you gotta tell me about this. Come on.
Okay, so Project L is a fighting game
Hmm.
that exists in the League of
Yeah,
Legends
yeah.
universe. You get to play as those different types of characters. But
Okay.
what's so groundbreaking about it is the fact that, one, you've got a gaming developer that has been so esports focused coming into a
Yeah.
mainly grassroots field of fighting games, and they're
Oh
going to be
my god,
dropping
yes.
and they're dro-
This is
yeah.
this is the Smash Killer. This is the
Yeah,
Smash
yeah,
Killer,
yeah,
baby.
yeah. So here
Okay.
you can go
Okay.
1v1, or you can go
Yep.
2v2. We've never had a game where two people can play, where one is in the main, but the other one can play support on the back end during gameplay. We've never
Mm.
had that before. And you can swap in and swap out different characters, but you aren't playing as that second character.
Yep.
You tag in, and then boom, you're out, and then the next player, but you can still support them. So for the competitive scene, what does this mean for the competitive scene? Well, it opens up the ability to have 1v1 tournaments just like we've had like in for years in competitive fighting games, but it also allows for 2v2. So now you've got team-based fighting games, which is unheard of and
Yep.
opens up way more possibilities because, like, I don't know, I remember when they dropped at Evo, and it was just it was all hell broke loose. Like it was absolutely insane.
Mm.
So and then team fight, and then like Riot even has
Yeah, yeah.
TFT, the team fight tactics, which is like
Yeah,
kind
I've
of like
heard of
their
that.
smite killer almost. you know
Okay.
yeah, so it's
Mm.
like no other developer is taking a look at the esports scene from a community standpoint and just being like, how do
Yep.
we control the launch of the game? How do we control uh that when we're launching like new when we're launching new expansion packs and stuff like that? How are the fans going to react? Okay, how do we make it so that they have a positive
Mm.
reaction? It's all these
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
little steps, and most people just focus on, hey, the games are cool, let's drop it now. We made a cool trailer, let's release that a
True.
little bit before.
They're too worried
So
about the start, but they're not worried about, the journey.
they're worried about the end when they're not like
Exactly. Yeah.
they're just as you put it, they're not focused on the journey, because releasing the game, I mean, look at GTA. Let's talk about
Mm.
those guys. They have done such an amazing job milking as much
Oh
money as
my
they found.
god.
They found their cash
See you in
cow. So like,
2030.
Yeah, it was like they found their cash cow and they just like let it glide for the
Mm.
longest time to the point where now people are using like GTA live gameplay to play like on TikTok. I don't know if you see on like these
No, no,
vertical
I
content poppers. It's like the Subway Surfer's playing right here, and like the whatever video clip they want you to see is right here. But they're
Oh,
just
yeah,
putting
yeah, I've
stuff
seen that.
that stuff. Yeah, it's just they're using that's the telltale sign that your game is doing well when it no, I'm just kidding.
Mm.
I'm totally kidding. But I think there has to be some controlled level of
Mm.
management for the
Yep.
game title, even after it's launched, in order for it to really stand out. Because there's thank God, this is a great problem to have, but there's so much cool stuff coming out.
Mm.
Like in Senua's Sacrifice, another Senua's Sacrifice game just came out or is going to be coming out. Like, I do you remember that game? I don't
No, no,
because
I don't. Don't even know
exactly.
what the game is.
Yeah, it's a it's a really heartbreaking story. It's like one of those story-driven games where it's like her husband died and she
Yep.
has schizophrenia, and this is in the Viking era, and she is trying to uh set his spirit to rest or something like that. But like you're fighting her inner demons
Mm.
personified in gameplay, and it's like
Yep.
it's so sad. It's like you thought The Last of Us 2 was bad in the first 15 minutes. No, this game is way more
That's
sad.
mad. I can't
Yeah.
believe they killed Joel. I can't believe it.
I just
Nah.
like it just didn't make any sense. And that definitely
Mm.
killed the fan base because like it definitely killed just the allure of the game because
Yeah.
for the longest time we are like, "Oh, I really hope they don't do the thing where they just kill off the main cast, the older character in the first game to make way for the
Mm.
next character to like,
Yeah.
go on." That's one thing that a lot of people were scared of in God of War 4. With or God of War 5, sorry, where they were like, "Oh god, what if Kratos dies, you have to play as his good for nothing son for the
That
rest of the
wouldn't be a
game."
good game. I don't think that would be a good game. No.
No, it wouldn't.
The whole
So
point is
like
God of War. It's him. It's Kratos. That's the
yeah,
whole
I
point.
just like I don't know the God of War 4 and
Mm.
5 like you even hear like the main
Yep.
the it's just the transformation of the character was like a little bit weird. But yeah, for Last of Us 2, killing Joe I think was a really poor move on their part
So true.
because it doesn't have as much you can look now, but it doesn't have as much of a following as Last of Us 1 did. There
Mm.
was like people were begging for a remaster. People were begging for more from it. And then,
Yep.
Last of Us 2 came out and
Mm.
you don't even
Maybe
get to
they.
kill the villain in the end, right? You just let him go.
I haven't played the game, but
Stupid.
I've seen clips and I know like the whole story. Basically, I've seen
Yeah.
part one. Of course, there's the TV show. The TV show was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people really liked it. I think the Pedro Pascal guy's a
Yeah,
fantastic actor.
he's
Fantastic.
really good. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And they couldn't have picked anyone better than him for Joel. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for part two, I reckon I don't think they're gonna kill off Joel in part two, like the TV show. They might be able to go a different direction. I think
I
they
think
might.
it's just I think the girl who plays Ellie like is not very believable as a standalone character, if that makes sense. Like I don't think she as
Yeah,
an
yeah.
actor, like in her
Okay.
role, I don't think she has enough of the qualities that would make the audience want to just focus on her.
Mm,
And look, maybe they'll give her a really
okay.
really good script and she'll really be able to like
Yeah.
step into that role. But I think from like also a story perspective, she's dealing with a game that and Pedro Pascal is also dealing with a game and telling the story where not a lot of people liked it, and that's tough. It's like with the Halo series when like they decided to take Master Chief and make him go through this character transformation that nobody really cared about. He's just like,
Yeah.
they kidnapped us when we were kids. It's like, yeah, dude, we already knew that. Like, if we're not
Mm,
like that's exactly how the Spartan ones and
yeah.
twos are supposed to be. Like, you can't write this show and be like, this is groundbreaking. Like,
It's true.
there's so many other stories that you could have told.
Mm.
And it's like with the same trap with Star Wars. They
Oh, the
everything
sequels. Yeah.
yeah, with the sequels and like they went it's been known now that they went forth not knowing where they were going to take John Boyega's character. They're like, yeah, just kind of like put
He
him
was really
here.
angry about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would be angry if
Yeah,
like
true.
it comes out publicly
Mm,
that hey, you guys didn't know what you were going to do with me
yeah.
later. And he was the biggest fan of Star Wars on set.
Mm,
Like he was the biggest fan. So it's really just heartless. But also at the same time, why were they telling that story? There was so much other stuff in Legends that they could have been talking about. You know,
so true.
the Yuzhang Vong War, Luke
Oh my
Skywalker's
god, I
all of
need to
his
see
kids.
that. They can
Dude,
still do
right?
it.
Like,
They can still
yeah,
sort of revive it. They can still sort
yeah,
of have some of the characters do it. Like the backstory behind that war is amazing.
yeah, and we see like oh god, and there's like so many characters that experience like a
Hmm.
new level of development. You have
Yeah.
like Luke Skywalker's kids like go through like falling to the dark side, and then
True.
Han
Yep.
Solo's kids like
Hmm.
fall to the dark side, and they come back and redeem themselves and save
Yep.
everybody. There's so many like crazy sacrifices
Mm.
that make you think of that character in a new lens.
Yep.
It's kind of like later in the war when Coruscant falls and like Chewie dies, and then Han's like I could just he just racked with all this guilt of not being able to save his best
Yep.
friend, and he's just like his last. I feel like Chewie's last thoughts were I wasn't able to save him, when in reality Chewbacca's last thoughts were wow I got to save like we got to save everybody, which is like just heartbreaking, and
Yeah.
and I think what is it the last good thing that they ever did was Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
Oh yes, that is such a good
Yeah,
game.
and I say Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, not Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2. They
Hmm.
they could have done so much more with that game. You know,
Starkiller is such a good character.
I know, and it's just like it, but
Mm.
it's so crazy. It's hard to follow that character up because you had a guy, you
Yeah.
had like a clone, what who in the original Galen Merrick was 16 or 15, and he like TKOs Darth Vader and the Emperor.
Yep.
It's like you got a guy. I'm like, what was his midichlorian count to the point where he was able to like, go from a tortured
Mm.
assassin build to, oh yeah, I just
Yep.
beat the crap out of everybody here. Like, uh,
Mm. It's definitely an alternate universe, I'd say. I wouldn't count it as main
yeah.
timeline. Yeah, yeah.
I think it definitely makes you feel as though the power stacking in a gaming title was I think was very well developed. Like if you go into a game like Warhammer Dark Tide, it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
well, why couldn't I just play as a Space Marine? Because if you played as a Space Marine, that game would be 5 minutes long. You go in and you would just bulldoze through, even if it is powers of chaos. But like
Yep.
he would just bulldoze through. So like the power scaling, especially when you're dealing with universes and universal storytelling in a world where there's so many different characters, like the games, that's where I feel like it really counts. Just because you're playing as that character and you have to be immersed in that character
Mm.
as a whole, you know.
Yep.
But I'm glad we were able to go a couple different routes there.
But yeah, it's like I think it would be such a good like idea to have the Yuuzhan Vong as the next part of it. Maybe with like the new Ray movie, they could do it because just like they're doing a really good job with what's it called? What's the character Thrawn? Um, in this Ahsoka trilogy, not trilogy, the show and the Mandalorian film that's coming. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna be so good. But the Yuuzhan Vong technology is so would be such a new thing to the Star Wars system, and to go to another galaxy like they did in Ahsoka again would be great. And to see
I think
someone
it's
come,
just
yeah,
it's so brutal. Like their culture is so brutal because they just like cut off
mm,
parts of themselves that they think are weaker and they literally just replace it. And also I think
and they hate technology as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the fact that their technology is all biological.
yeah,
Like it's all living, breathing organisms, and also the fact that they're so OP and the Jedi literally can't sense them. That is a
mm,
complete game changer as far as storytelling goes. Plus, like as Ahsoka as like a character, they try to they really try to herald her as like the first on-screen depiction of a gray Jedi. I kind of thought Starkiller was a really good depiction of a gray Jedi, but like the I don't know, it's a tough story to like dive into. Like for me, it's tough to dive into just because there was so much in Legends that they should have done more with,
yep.
and this we just didn't get that. And like I get it, like just
Mm,
it's I get it, but I don't get it. There's always you're always left
Yeah, yeah,
wanting
yeah.
more with some of this stuff,
Mm.
but sometimes to the degree where you feel unfulfilled, and that's
Yep.
kind of where I feel with some of that.
Well, it's true as well. Um, and what's it called? It was a bit too late because they kept switching directors for the first three films. That was the big problem with it. They because it was what's it called? What was the guy's first name? Because I know it was Ryan Johnson for the eighth episode, and then it was seven and nine. J.J. Abrams. That's it. So they just kept
Yeah,
handing it back to each other. That's the big problem with the show.
yeah, and like there's problems, the legal problems that surround an IP as big as like Star Wars, or
Yep.
even look over at like DC, like with release the Snyder cut, like that kind of thing. And if you like
Mm.
you watch the two of them and they're like it's night and day. Those kinds of like legal obligations that we go through with sometimes even with characters like Spider-Man, he was owned by a separate entity aside from Marvel for the longest time. That kills
Yep.
the fan experience. It absolutely just murders it to the point where we're all left wondering what the hell's going on. Like
Mm.
there's nothing for me here. So I don't know. That's it's a tale as old as time. The legality
Yep.
of the things that you want to do for the fans.
Mm. Because there was a whole because everyone had so many theories after Force Awakens when it came to Last Jedi as well. Because there was so many theories like, oh, maybe Rey is Obi-Wan's like granddaughter or something. That was quite a big one. And I
Yeah.
wonder what it would be like if J.J. Abrams wrote Last Jedi. Let's see the Abrams cut.
Oh yeah. 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 I
Hmm.
think I think at the end of the day, if
Yeah.
the fans, and they should have gotten people who had written Star Wars novels to have an active role
True.
in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you got to get people who wrote stuff for Legends to be a part of the script writing.
Hmm.
And I think that probably would have been the best way, because if you get people who understand the source material, um, that's probably like one of the best things that you could do for the fans, because you've got fans writing material for the fans. So
Yep.
it's this self-populating organism to a point where everybody leaves happy, and you don't really get that too
Mm.
often. So that's
Yep.
one of my biggest things that I think Games Workshop is doing really well, is that they used to just delete and copyright strike people's Warhammer animations. Now they just hire them. They just hire them, and they're just like, "Hey, we're just going to take your material and we're just going to put it on Warhammer Plus, but you have to sign on with us." And they're like, "Okay." I think that's like the best scenario we have right now.
Yeah, that does sound a lot better. There's a lot of companies that just like steal as well, and they won't even like try to like give anything back. It's like what's it called when Elon Musk what's it called he just like took the X accounts, the X ads, and there was like that guy with the X
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, didn't even get paid for it.
There,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Digital ownership is a lie. Is
Mm.
something that we're becoming increasingly knowledgeable of, and
Yep.
like digital assets are not truly yours unless they're CS:GO skins, because those people have like kept their stock like for the longest time.
There was a new one, wasn't there, recently? It was like 30 million or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and I don't know. I just know that a lot of people are upset about CS:GO too. That's what I
Yeah.
know. And like our entire executive board is former CS:GO pros.
Oh,
So
okay. That's sick.
yeah, it's funny, like I actually used to chill. I, this is my one humble brag for today. I used to like hang out with Adren, who is seen as like one of the most accomplished CS:GO players and coaches in like the world. And the guy who trained him is my boss. So
That's
I
so
like have
cool.
I've like yeah, I've like hung out
Mm.
with them on several
Yeah, yeah.
different occasions, like together. And
Mm.
it's just so weird being in the room with these guys, because they're like normal dudes, but once you get them talking about certain topics such as like player strategy or game developer strategy, like they turn into like completely different people. It's awesome. So that's my humble brag, that I get to hang out with CS:GO pros.
The ultimate flex.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and he like these guys also coached Simple, who is also seen as one
Mm.
of the most
Yeah, simple's
accomplished.
the goat. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And we're gonna try to bring him to Pittsburgh in the next couple of months for some cool stuff.
Ooh.
But
Okay.
yeah, I can't say more on it because I don't know
Hmm.
more, but I know that we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
try to get him to,
That's
you know,
huge.
come and
Yeah.
do. Yeah, we're gonna try to get him to do some fun stuff
Hmm.
like with us.
Yep. And tell us about like, what you do more so with Knights, of course. So like you're a partnerships manager, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I work alongside all of our current
Hmm.
sponsors, and I also my main thing is to go out and get us new
Yep.
sponsors.
What's your advice to other esports orgs on getting sponsors?
I think data tracking is the biggest thing that you can do. I
Hmm.
think that there's a huge vacuum of esports entities, so that's the teams, and that's also the tournament organizers. Any company that exists in gaming and esports, you need to have accurate data tracking so that you know what is it you offer. Obviously,
Yep.
competitive representation is cool, but it can only get
Hmm.
you so far. Content
So
is
more
really
content.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and content is cool, but
Yeah, yeah.
but how are you presenting them so that it's not just sponsored content? How are you telling the story of how this brand is positively affecting the gaming experience, and how are they
Mm.
affecting your fans? How do the fans
Yep.
benefit from that? So I think data tracking, storytelling are two of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give to any organization looking for new sponsors, and going to the fans and making sure that they feel constantly supported by these brands. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice.
Okay. Okay. That's actually quite useful. I'll take that into account as well. I mean, I'm an esports org owner as well, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting to learn. Um, Yeah, and as I said before, what's called, I'm a big fan of Knights Arena because that was kind of what inspired me to start Blue Skirmish. So you've worked with Knights Arena quite a bit, I take it, because it's part of Knights GG.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
I think the biggest
mm,
thing with Knights Arena is it's part of our organization's vision to
yep.
establish that path to pro environment that previously didn't exist in esports.
Mm,
And the whole goal and focus of Knights Arena is to make it so that everybody can follow their dreams. And the
that's
way we
good.
do that is constantly trying to host tournaments and cool different titles
Yep.
that people want to be a part of. We used to we've hosted tournaments in all kinds of different gaming titles, such as Gears of War, Halo Infinite, and Valorant, Apex Legends, Rocket League, Fall Guys.
Yep.
And the list is going to keep growing as we develop
Mm,
more developer relationships. But trying to make it so that everybody can follow their dreams is really where
yep.
we're a part of, and that's an offshoot of my vision of like bringing people together and seeing them
Hmm.
to their successes. So um, that's really what Knights Arena is all about.
I respect that. I mean, what's it called? We're starting to see that more. What's it called in the tier 2 and tier 3? Seeing people are starting to wake up and say, "Oh, what's it called? It's quite hard to get into those stages of Valorant." So the fact that
Yeah,
you're doing tier 2 is insane, and that VCT partnership is incredible.
yeah. It,
With
it,
challenges.
it like I see these people in just the qualifying
Mm,
matches, and I'm like, holy shit! Like I can never, like you see the like going through Valorant, like just as a game title or any game
yeah,
title,
yeah,
uh, like going through the various skills necessary to go pro. You got movement, aim, how you really communication, and mastering each of those individual aspects is so indicative of future success. And you look at some of these guys in the tier 3 and the tier 2 scene, and it's like, wow, like it's truly impressive their level of professionalism and teamwork, even being at what some people would see as the lower levels, but they are they're sowing the seeds for their professional career by participating in some of these like events by
mm.
Knights Arena. Um, but it's like you see some of those, you see all of the characteristics of a champion when you look at like some of these events. It's just so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's amazing what's it called, and it's like it's nice that these players get to actually compete in events because, like I said before, it's like we didn't have many tournaments to enter, and now there is, of course, because
Exactly.
I'm really happy to see it because there's a lot of games where the developers don't care, and Riot really set off on a mission. What's it called to include like everyone, especially
Yeah.
because that was the whole point of it. They set out and they knew what they were doing. They wanted to make an esports game, not just a game, an esports game.
Mhm. Which are two different things, are two
Yes.
completely different things. You know, an esports worthy title has way more management, has way more multiplayer connectivity. The community
Mm.
is way stronger, and the developers actively seek to grow that audience because and
Yep.
also it's free. Most esports titles are freemium, meaning free to play, but you can obviously take part in certain microtransactions to
Yep.
increase the experience. You know, like League of Legends had like different skins. Like that's probably the easiest
Mm.
example. Like different cosmetic skins, which you know I think is cool, but and I think it gives more opportunity to people
Yep.
who love gaming, but their wallets are
Hmm.
strapped. Like
Yep.
me, which is why I play a lot of like older games. But yeah.
I've noticed your game collection as well. You got
Oh
Cyberpunk and
yeah,
a few
I
others.
you know what
Yeah.
most of it is actually on here.
Oh, okay.
I
Got a
take
little
I
external
take
hard
advantage
drive.
of like one of those
Yeah.
like this is a Xbox specific terabyte drive from Seagate. But
Okay.
I mean, just going down like for some of these, like obviously this one was my favorite. Transformers: Fall of Cybertron
Mm.
is like my ultimate favorite game. And then the obvious ones like Cyberpunk, the Arkham Knight.
That's a good game.
Do
Yeah.
you remember the old Telltale games?
I've played a few of them. I've played
Yeah.
my favorite is the Back to the Future one. You ever played that one?
Oh, you like that one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
know that
yeah,
one.
yeah. I
I
feel like
fucking
it's
hate
the
that one.
closest.
Just kidding.
I feel
Okay.
like it's the closest thing to a part four of like the actual films. But
Oh, truth. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I've always wanted
But
to see a part four of that, but it's like, yeah.
yeah, no, I completely understand, and that's why gaming is such a cool
Hmm.
environment. It's because we can continue to tell those stories
Yeah.
not previously seen by like those things. Like, um, but yeah, the small collection. Uh, I'm fortunate enough to live near like a like a video game store that has all of like the Xbox
Hmm.
360 and PS1 and
Yep.
Xbox like gaming titles as well. But I'm trying to uh I'm trying to get my hands on like an older Xbox 360 so that I can like a good one so that I can play like Fall of Cybertron because while it does appear on the Xbox store from the licensing perspective they can't have it. So
Yep.
it's just an icon on the store. So I hate that.
Oh.
So I know it's heartbreaking. But maybe like
Hmm.
later on they'll be able to offer that and Spider-Man Web of Shadows on the Xbox store because that was
There
my favorite
is
Spider-Man game.
there is a lot of lost games now. Like you
Yeah.
have to like the option for piracy is out there now so much. What's it called that it's forcing people just to pirate the game because to play their favorite game you have to normally, or it costs like 500 million or something to find the game on Amazon or eBay. It's
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't condone
Yeah.
piracy. What's it called? Like, but at the same time, what's it called? It's like all of these developers and these game stores, what's it called, just get rid of games and
Mhm.
like these 20-year-old games, like they're really good games, but you can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, again, digital ownership
Hmm.
is not actually real.
Did you hear
Like
about Ubisoft?
no, I didn't. What did they
Um,
do?
alright, so another Ubisoft L. And then what they did is they made like a whole email. Most Critical did a video as well, and he was saying, "Oh, it's called how they said." I don't remember what it said. It was something about accounts. Alright, so basically, what's it called? If you don't log into your account once a month, right, to play your games, what's it called? They will delete your account and all your games on it.
That yeah,
It's so scummy. It's so scummy.
that's I guess that's how you
Hmm.
force an engaged fan base.
I know, right?
We're gonna
Literally.
delete all of your stuff. Like what? I
Hmm.
don't understand. Ah, that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. No.
Hmm. Because like I'm quite a big fan of like the Far Cry games, and like I use the Ubisoft launcher for that. It's like seriously, like what are they
Yeah.
doing?
They're making money. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You got an R6 team. Is that correct, right? Knights has an R6 team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have an R6 team, and they're based in Mexico City. I like the R6 competitive scene. I think I think they do a good job of like grouping, like as far as like
Mm.
the areas that they group together. I think it's pretty interesting. They're in Mexico City, and like I talked to these guys, and they have like a cook and a maid. It's
Oh
so
wow.
bougie. I love it. Yeah, it's so funny. Like they have a
Yeah,
full
yeah,
time
yeah.
they have like a full time staff taking care of them. It's so funny.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
They live the good life. I can't lie. Like they're living in like palaces, man. Like I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of those like esports like setup tour videos. Not the setup tour videos, but like the setup houses videos. Like
Yeah.
the Hundred Thieves ones and all those other team ones. It's amazing to see them.
Yeah,
It's like
I remember
yeah.
it was so funny. I remember when 100 Thieves did their gamer compound videos, and he
Mm.
like takes you through all like their different streaming rooms, and it
Yeah.
just kind of looked like they're prisoners, kind of,
Mm.
because he opens the
Ah.
door and the room's like this big, and there's no light, and it's just like the 100 Thieves logo behind him.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and I think the was it the not the TSM house. But there was another house in Utrecht,
Mhm.
and it was another gaming compound, and they had Alienware PCs. Now, no hate to Alienware, but the PCs that they
Oh.
did have, when it was just Task Manager like on, it
Yeah.
was like the fan was just like,
Oh no, Alienware is notorious for that. Notorious.
I
Like
know,
it's because there's no like ventilation.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's no ventilation because of the aesthetic choice, you know.
They could
It's
they
like
could find a way though. They could find a way to
oh
like
yeah, they could totally
incorporate
find a way.
ventilation.
But
Yeah.
like would it look as cool? Probably not. I'm just kidding.
Mm.
Okay.
I'd
No,
rather
but
not an airplane though as a PC. The PS4
yeah,
is already
I
like
would
that.
I would rather just like be able to enjoy my games. No.
Exactly.
And not when I boot up Minecraft and it's just
Mm.
like and I'm playing just single player and
Yep.
it feels like there's a hurricane in my room. But
Ah, Minecraft and RTX is a different breed, yeah. Especially with
uh
PCs. They
dude,
scream so
none of the
much.
these kids will not understand having like just Minecraft booted up on a school computer from someone's flash drive that they brought in, and you're just playing like Minecraft with like some of your friends during like computer lab or something like this.
Mm.
Like
Yep.
nobody's gonna understand the joy that we felt doing that or playing. I remember at my old high school we would play Halo 2 together. We would play Halo 2 on like our like in computer lab because
Mm.
I had like accounting. Like I took
Yeah, yeah.
accounting in high school, and we would finish whatever we were doing, and we would still have time on the clock, so we would start playing Halo.
That's
It was
mad.
I know it's so weird to think of now, but I was
Yeah.
just like, huh, because we would do that, and we would have it like in the like close to
Mm.
like a smaller tab. We would have it in a smaller tab closer so that we could quick
Yep.
X out of that and like go to Excel or something like that. It was so funny.
Mm. A lot of school and colleges are getting actually quite smart at stopping people from doing that because they can like basically
Yeah,
they can say the USB doesn't work when you put in the.
yeah. I think schools should do a better job of
Hmm.
like stopping certain things. I think the phones. I think a lot of schools should just put the what easiest fix. You could just put the entire school into a Faraday cage so that phones just literally don't work. Um,
True.
but I think there's that. You could also just like there's a lot of different brands that sell bulk like dead phones. And when I say dead phones, it's
Mm.
like it
Oh,
looks
the
just
flip
like this.
phones. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like a
Yeah,
screen
yeah,
like this big, and you can make calls and you can
yeah.
text, and like obviously for emergencies when you're calling your parents, like that's something
Exactly.
that we need to watch out for. But like
Yeah, yeah,
having the
yeah.
smartphone capabilities with like content platforms on there, like social
Mm.
media, like that that has to stop because a lot of
Yep.
people are the quality of education is being impacted negatively
True.
because of that.
Mm.
And I think like and esports has its time, but
Yeah.
outside of when you're in
Exactly.
scrimmages,
Mm.
outside of when you're
There's a
practicing with the team.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Outside of when you're practicing with the team, like you have other schoolwork you should be doing. Like
Mm.
it's there has to be that balance, and I think people need to hone back in on the basics of what makes school great.
It's
Turning
true.
off turning off the small screens that we have, making sure that the quality of human interaction is there. And the biggest thing that takes away from that quality of education and the quality of human interaction is smartphone usage amongst like younger people. It's crazy that they're going to be at like a high school level of education, but they read at the third grade level.
Oh yeah, it's
But
getting worse. It is getting
it's
worse.
getting
There's so many
worse,
reports
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
And like I saw a teacher
It's
the
because
other
everyone's
day
just
get
doing this. Everyone's doing this,
yeah,
like, yeah. And it's like,
yeah.
it's because of like the attention spans, it's like 6 second attention spans, like, it's lower than the goldfish. Like, yeah,
It's getting worse, and that's because like we're so the instant gratification of
so true.
the biggest part of the
Mm.
video within those first like
Yeah.
2 seconds, like the Mr. Beast style. With and look, this is no hate to Mr. Beast. I do a little bit, maybe a little bit of hate, but the thing about like Mr. Beast videos is that
Mhm.
it works for the algorithm, and the algorithm
Yep.
is you have to have that attention grabbing thing
Mm.
to, and he popularized the captions, like the captioning of videos. So
Yep.
you're seeing what's going on. You're able to read what he's saying in the large fluorescent subtitles, and
Yep.
boom, he's like, we're gonna. I don't know. We're gonna take all these babies and put them in a grain silo, and
Mm.
then we're gonna,
They
like
work
some
really well. Yeah.
it works. Yeah, it works.
Mm.
But the negative consequences of that is that we're constantly expecting the biggest thing to happen within the next 6 seconds.
Mm.
So
True.
that's why it's going to go down and down and down. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. We know what the problem is. Will people fix it? No. But
Mm.
whatever.
True. Yeah. It's funny that you say that because what's it called? We do the short thing as well where we have the subtitles. So.
Yeah, it works for the algorithm, man.
It really
And
does.
yeah,
There's a
it
really good platform we use because when we started using AI with it as well, so we don't even have to pull up After Effects now. We can edit from what's it called? It's called like Opus Pro or something. No, Opus.ai, and it
yeah,
allow.
I
Yeah, yeah.
fucking love Opus, dude.
It's
Opus
so
works
good.
so well. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to edit it a little bit, but then it's like takes 1 second to do that, so it's amazing.
Yeah, and the free version's good, but
Mm.
the paid version I hear is like night and day, just like ChatGPT.
It's so good. I pay
As
for
a
it.
company, we use ChatGPT Premium, and now they have a pro version, but like the paid version where you have like ChatGPT 4
Hmm.
is like really good, really really good.
Ooh, I've never used GPT-4. I've used 3.5, but and
Yeah,
I've used
I would highly recommend.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's quite accurate as well, because that one's online,
it is
right?
pretty accurate. I mean, I use it for research, and I double check the references that it gives, and it's factual.
Yeah.
It quotes stuff correctly.
Okay. That is really cool. And I wanted to mention about some more games as well that you guys play. So you've got R6, you've got Rocket League, you've got Valorant, correct?
Yeah,
You've got
we
CODs.
run
Is that right? Do you have COD as
the what?
well? Do you have
Oh
CODs?
no, no, we don't. No,
Ah,
we don't have COD. I mean,
you ever
like
thought about it?
Call of Duty is like really friendly for the independent content creator
Yeah, yeah,
audience
yeah.
and the Warzone audience. But as far as a team-based thing, like
Hmm.
it's not really worth getting into. And we
So not COD
run
League?
events. No, no, Call of
Okay.
Duty League sucks. We run the competitive scene for a lot of like Rocket League and Valorant, but
Hmm.
we can't have teams in those. We can't field competitive teams in those
Yeah.
because I mean, like legally, the developers told us like you can't do that if you're going to be running events, and we're like, okay, that's fine.
Sorry for what game
Um,
again?
for Valorant and for Rocket League, because any of the games that you know we have events for, we can't
Yeah.
host a competitive team. I mean, it makes sense,
Hmm.
but if, and then currently we have R6, Madden,
Wait, so you don't have a Valorant
iRacing.
team? I, s-
Yeah,
I swear
we
you
used
guys used
to.
to have a Valorant team. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, we used to have a Valorant team. We used to have a Rocket
Hmm.
League team, but we started becoming more of a governing body in
Yeah.
North American esports. So we can't really,
Ah.
But as far like currently, what do we have? We have R6, iRacing, Madden, and then we have a
Hmm.
fighting games player. Uh, he competes in Mortal Kombat and in Street Fighter.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind
Hmm.
of our. And he's really big into Project L as well. So we'll see how that
Ooh,
goes.
okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because like Project L, I'm really interested in that because it's like Nintendo's been doing some really shady stuff, I'd say, with the Smash scene. I'm not sure if you've seen the latest news, like how they were like stop people from like
I just
buying
been
food
I
and
just been
drink.
seeing like I've just
Yeah.
been seeing Power World like stuff recently. That's all I've been
Mm.
seeing. What are they doing with the Smash scene?
So I think it was October. I'm not sure if you saw any news articles about it, but they were basically saying, what was he saying? They said something about what's it called? You can't buy you have to have a license. Even for like the small community tournaments. They're making it so you have to have licenses.
And in order to have a license, you have to pay a giant fee, I assume.
I'm not sure about the fee that entails or anything, but I just know what's it called? It's normally you have to be like a premium like event organizer or something to have it. They're trying to cut down
Oh.
on it because they love destroying their scene, of course. Like with Evo, like when they destroyed Evo. But yeah. Um but they made it so what's it called? Even if you're doing a community event, right? Just a small community event what's it called? You're not
Yeah.
allowed to sell food and drink. You can't sell food and drink to people. It's
That's
crazy.
weird.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it. And
Well,
what's it called?
then, I mean,
Yeah.
the obvious workaround is just you host the event in a separate room, and then you just have all the
Mm.
food and drink in another room. No, I'm just kidding. That's all I'm kidding. Don't do that.
And like you're not even allowed to sponsor as well unless you have a license. But yeah, I just find it all
Wow.
strange. Like they really don't like Smash Esports. Like they took down a Splatoon like esport tournament before. They literally just got I think it was Riptide. I'm not sure if you've heard of Riptide. They were
Hmm.
quite a big organizer for fighting games and Splatoon, and they just banned them on Twitch. But yeah, just for a small event.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I
So
I
I'm
don't
rooting for
understand.
Project L.
I mean, if we're talking about like, if we're talking about Japanese like copyright law, there's no
Mm,
such thing as fair use over there.
true.
So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, like it would make sense on a legal level. They see something, they see part of their IP being used, they want to shut it down. But at the same time, I wonder for community engagement and just overall brands like life,
Mm,
how they're gonna keep that going if they keep
yep.
behaving this way. So it does kind of detract away. But
Mm,
like, what qualifies as like a larger event?
like I think it was like 200 people or something going.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
that sucks.
I know, right? And like the beauty of fighting games and Smash is what's cool that they're always going to LAN events and stuff, and that's something is why I built a Smash team in the first place. It was like you get to watch them go to all these small time events, even in the grassroots scene.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. Is like there's no like entry to like being a part of the scene really. You could just turn up what's
Yeah,
going, and then you're a Smash player. There you go. But
yeah,
yeah.
and it's one of the lowest barriers to entry, and
Hmm.
people love it for that. And also
Yep.
Super Smash is one of the easiest, like it's the easiest thing to bring to a party. Like I think that's one of the
True.
things that really
Hmm.
attracted a lot of people, especially with the newest version of Smash. Um,
Yep.
and you're able to, what is it, like 10 players at one time or 12 or something like that? And you're able to have
It's
just so
something
many
like that.
people. And
Yeah.
yeah, I recently was at my friend's house and we had like
Hmm.
six people playing on the screen at once. And it was so hard to
Yep.
keep track, especially because I like pranked my one friend and he played as yeah, I made it so that I played as the same character as him. I was playing
Hmm.
as Ike and he played as Ike, which is one of my favorite. Was Smash Brothers Brawl was one of my favorite characters to play as, but now on the newest Smash, it's like really hard to play as him. We're also using Nintendo 64 wireless controllers, which I have never played on. I
Okay.
never used to compete on those. So like I'm used to
Hmm.
using just like a half of a Switch controller just to do it because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
That's a
that's like
really
that's
weird
easy.
controller to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to like figure
Hmm.
out which like thing and like I keep clicking the wrong
Yeah.
buttons.
Yeah.
Suck. But I
Hmm.
still lost. So there we
Ah. Yeah.
go.
It's interesting, like how the GameCube controller survived in the Smash scene. Like they still use GameCube controllers as like the go-to for pro players. And yeah, didn't
Ah.
um didn't Pittsburgh Knights have what's it called a Smash team at one point? I swear I was looking on Wikipedia and there was something about it.
Well, I mean, we used to have a really big Smite team. I don't recall us ever having a. Here's the thing: I've been with the company since
Hmm.
21. So when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was with the company, we didn't have one. Maybe before that we
Okay.
did, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are looking to try and have more. local events, and Super Smash is like one
Mm.
of the like the things that we want to run. Um, geez, I guess we can't have like food and drink at those events, but you know, trying to, you know.
Yeah, I'm generally vouching. Get into Smash Bros. Okay, get your team into Smash Bros. It would be so cool to see. Sign Cody.
Oh
um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that guy. But yeah,
yeah. I think it's gonna be a little further ways
mm,
away. One of the things that like attracts us to have like a competitive entity or like a competitive team
okay,
in specific gaming titles is mainly like how do the developers treat the teams,
yep,
and it doesn't really look like
yeah,
Nintendo treats them the best,
mm,
but we'll see. We'll see down the road. That's one of the
yeah.
biggest questions I get asked: Call of Duty and Super Smash if we have teams there.
Hmm.
So
That would be such. Would you go for melee or would you go for ultimate if you were to? Because
I
like
feel like
melee's
Ultimate.
got such a big scene as well.
It does. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
not sure. I'm not sure then. Is it all?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
Ultimate the newest one?
Ultimate's the newest, and Melee's the GameCube one. But Melee's still
Oh yeah,
super huge, and I'm really impressed because it's like 20 years old now. It's
yeah. And
amazing.
people
Yeah,
still compete with that one. That's crazy to me.
it's
Huh.
huge. Like it's growing even more. It's been growing like in the last since COVID. It's
Hmm.
amazing. But
That's
yeah,
very interesting. Hmm.
yeah, it's really impressive. I've never seen like I know Nintendo isn't like the biggest fan of Melee because they want everyone to switch to Ultimates. But
Hmm.
the community I Nintendo fans are quite I don't know how to say it, but it's like they're quite good at adapting to new changes.
Hmm.
So they're ready to fight for their game because they love it. They don't love the company, they just love the game, That's what
Yeah.
keeps the game running, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's one of the biggest things I see with like
mm,
the Pokemon audiences, and then they saw
yeah.
Power World coming in and changing up
Ah, oh my
like the
god. Yeah,
possibilities
yeah.
of what you would expect from a
Mm,
Pokemon game. And
yep,
then now Nintendo, and then everybody attacks them. Everybody just
yeah.
attacks Power World. It's so sad. They're getting like, do you hear they're getting
Mm,
like death threats? It's like, what the hell?
really? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah,
Typical
the
esports
team.
fans. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, very toxic. The developers are getting all kinds of like death threats from Pokemon fans who are just like, I actually I literally don't know why. Like
Yep.
I mean, the game. They're like, oh, the game looks like crap, and I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, it's a fan game, dude. Like,
yep.
you can't come in expecting like multi-million-dollar approach to a fan game. Nobody's gonna invest that kind of time. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Did you
uh,
know? Did you know that Pokemon actually copied Dragon Quest? Have you seen the image?
no, I
So
didn't.
type up a Google right, yeah? Pokemon versus Dragon Quest like creatures. And you'll see like an image of them compared to each other. And they've literally ripped the designs off each other. And Dragon Quest came out
Oh
before
wow.
Pokemon. You seen the image? Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy. And you see how similar they look. Like, look at the Zubat, the others, Pinsir, all that, Omastar.
yeah.
It's
There's characters
crazy.
from Dragon Quest that look like they're from Dragon Ball Z. That's funny.
That's the art design because it was the same artist. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's quite a cool design. I do like it. But yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, it's an
That's bad.
interesting yeah, it is bad because like Pokemon fans are like, oh, you copy Pokemon. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, can't believe it. It's like I saw the Opera GX tweet the other day and it was like, oh, why is nature copying Pokemon's designs? But yeah,
Mm. Hmm.
but but they I think Nintendo said something about it before. A few days ago they were that saying so I keep getting lost every time I make a point. Um, but they were saying what's it called? How they've there's no comment at the moment, but they're thinking of an idea how to approach this power situation.
Hmm.
There was like an article about it, but yeah, so they have made a statement, but then they're waiting. Okay, they're waiting.
Mm.
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna wait for power to get bigger, and then they might sue them or something. But I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just.
Mm,
I think it's kind of. I just think the whole situation is kind of silly. They could. I
yeah,
think they should ignore it, and I think they should just
true.
move past it. Just keep
Mm,
on making cool stuff.
yep.
Uh, for Pokemon. instead of just trying to attack this developer because that's just like a waste of resources to me.
True. And like they copied Dragon Quest, like the designs,
Yeah,
of
exactly.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's shocking how similar they are, though. Like someone showed that to me the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I thought they, yeah, I didn't realize they copied someone else as well." It's like, oh,
Yeah, you're like, I had no idea.
um, there was a few questions about what's called I got sent in the email for like, of course, the invite for you to join, and one of them that stood out to me was like the challenges of running like Knights GG and like the management side. What are the
Mhm.
challenges for you?
I think the biggest challenges for me is just so that people see
Hmm.
esports as a valid investment uh, for consumer outreach.
Yep.
And so they so that they understand that by putting money into this, they're able to see a better return than they would on the traditional like advertising side,
Hmm.
because the way we dev- way the way successful gaming organizations weave uh, weave sponsors into the storytelling. It is
Yep.
more of a natural conversion as opposed to just advertising at people. So I think that's probably my biggest challenge, just making sure that people
Mm.
see esports as a valid investment going forward.
Yep.
You know, so
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and it must be quite hard sometimes with some sponsors, especially the ones that aren't too gamer focused.
yeah. But at the same time, if they are still targeting that
Hmm.
14 to 35 or 18 to
Yep.
35 high income tech savvy market, that's still who is mainly represented in this fan base. And I'm, even like endemics and non endemics would like to be a part of that audience in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Gaining their loyalty is probably something that they want, you know?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some like key sponsors you've been able to like get? What's it called with Nights GG? Like yourself, some like big
Yeah.
achievements.
So like the larger ones that I've worked with was our work with Investor, and then
Hmm.
helping our previous partners re-sign on in the next year, such as like Zippo and PNC. And
Okay.
a lot of my other work also deals with our activations and brand storytelling that we've done with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hmm.
So I kind of have and also with our technology with MatchBot, and
Yep.
which, do you remember Champions Queue with League of Legends?
No, no, no. I don't play League.
So I'll send you an article right now, but it is,
Okay.
I always have this thing saved, but I'll put it in the chat of this call. And the idea behind Champions Queue is an automated Discord bot that allows everybody to queue up into the game straight from Discord, and surpassing any kind of need for um to be in the same rank as the rest of them. And it's an automatic queuing up. So that's probably the easiest way I could tell it. So I'm part of a lot of different projects, but those were some of the sponsors that I've been most active in a part of.
Oh, that's really big. Yeah, it's a huge one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh
but
wow.
I think I'm really trying to. Oh my god, I'm
Okay.
getting.
Hmm.
I
That's
think
cool.
I think
Yeah.
that the biggest thing is that I'm really focused in
Hmm.
on where we're going.
Yep.
And as far as where we're going, I really want us to be a part of uh, relevant and forward thinking gaming developers. So, targeting some of those guys with our current tech offerings, and then going after big movers in the endemic and non endemic space.
Yep.
So, making sure that when I look at the human experience, I have everything
Hmm.
covered for the fans. They
Yep.
have a go to gaming peripherals brand that they can go to, making sure that they have, a furniture company that speaks to them. They
Hmm.
have perhaps
What
even
chair sponsor do you have currently?
this no, 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 this one sucks.
Ah.
Don't get this one. These suck.
Oh,
This is
okay.
just, we just found a company that could print them out, and that's it.
Oh.
As
Okay.
far as who's the best and who I'd recommend, Herman Miller. Herman Miller all the
Okay.
way.
All right.
Um yeah, Herman Miller Gaming, they do some of the best stuff
Hmm.
because all their stuff is backed by science. So if you guys can take a look at
Ooh.
those guys, but and in gaming chairs, making sure that
Yep.
everything is supported, making sure that maybe if they want to go out and have like a new chapter in their lives with exercise and fitness, we see that at the professional level of esports, they are hiring dietitians and coaches to make sure that they're looking and feeling right, both on
Hmm.
and off the field, so to say,
Yep.
and making sure that their brain connectivity is there. And one of the easiest ways to have that brain
Hmm.
connectivity there without Adderall is, well,
Yep.
going in and making sure that the fitness, diet, and sleep are all there. So, and really just making it so that the nights as a whole provide all of the go-to benefits to the human experience that our
Yep.
fans want. And that's really what I'm a part of.
Hmm.
So tailoring my communications, finding the people that are best able to provide that for the fans, that's my biggest thing right now. So I actually just got out of a meeting with our internal team talking about how we're going to start accomplishing that going into the new year. And I'm really excited for what I'm able to do on the behind the scenes so that people,
Hmm.
that are,
Okay.
very forward facing are able to succeed.
Yep. I've noticed what's it called how you have like multiple different brands in the Knights kind of like the Knights network, or as you call it, the Knights group. Yeah. So how comes you have multiple brands? How comes you won't like go with the same name? Just out of interest.
No, that's a great
Hmm.
question, and really it's because they each of them provide such a different thing. And so, from a branding perspective, it wouldn't really make sense for us to say, "Oh, you want some of this Knights technology for the League of Legends competitive scene," and the branding needs to be able to speak to the separate audiences that are part of that experience.
Oh, okay.
So you'll even see like the Knights like the
Hmm.
logo here is
Yeah.
different from
Yeah.
the Knights Arena logo, and the Knights
Yes.
Arena
The one your
logo
water
looks more
bottle.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Knights Arena logo, like, to
Hmm.
me, looks more like something that would be seen in a live events arena,
Yep.
and for Matchbot, it's very much a tech company in look and feel. The Knights logo right here, the way that it looks, and it's something that can be either on the center or on the side of a jersey. So when looking at all those things and what they provide, that is what causes the separation. That
Okay.
but that's a really good question.
Hmm. Do Champion make your jerseys? I take it.
Yeah, this was
Hmm.
from a old collaboration. I don't know who does our jerseys now. But we worked with Champion, and then I think we worked with Meta Threads for a little
Metaphors are
while.
good. Yeah. Yeah. I like them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But listen, man, it's been really good talking to you. I do have a little
Yep.
bit of a hard stop at 45, but
Okay.
I
Yep.
do have some
That's
stuff to
fine.
to
Yeah.
run to. But I would really like to come back on your podcast, perhaps in like the next season or later on down the road. I'd love to
I'd
hop in
love that.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll
perfect.
keep in
Because
touch.
I yeah, please do. You have my email.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think, well, that's the thing that I'm most active on, and obviously I'll be
Yeah.
posting
Yeah.
you guys on February
Mm-hmm.
27th when this one
Yeah. Yeah.
drops.
That's
And
right.
I'll be posting this on LinkedIn and Instagram where I'm also active as
A
well.
nice.
Yeah.
I dropped you a follow on Twitter as well. I'm not sure if you
Yeah,
use that
awesome.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
I barely use it because I'm not like an old man.
Hmm.
Ha. But but I will follow you back
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
quick.
Sweet. Um. So you're mostly active on Instagram. So
Yeah.
and LinkedIn. So where can we find you for the audience who want to learn more about you?
Yeah, you can either look up Liam Brown East Knights on LinkedIn, and I'm the only person that
Yep.
shows up. Or you can go on the Knights socials, Knights on Instagram, and you can see me in a lot of their posts.
A nice. I did see some stuff about that. It is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, final few words. Yep, big fan. That was the amazing Liam Brown of Pittsburgh Knights. It was a pleasure to have you. Any last few words? Anything you want to say before you leave?
Yeah, I think that if you're looking to go into any field, understand why you want what you're chasing.
Mm.
I landed in esports because I was chasing bringing people together. And whether you find that whether you find that vision or that dream in
Yeah.
another industry, just make sure that you do as much as you can to set yourself up for success when pursuing that. So
Okay.
that's probably the biggest thing. And I'm
Mm.
gonna leave that open ended because that means something different for everybody. You know,
Yep.
for me, like I took like let's say for me, for
Mm.
instance, like when I was in university, I took multiple jobs so that I was able to accurately find where my vision was. When
Yep.
before I started working at the nights and um I worked in clubs and bars to help keep the lights on so that I could keep chasing my vision. You know,
Mm.
there was many different times where I had doubts, but I kept pushing to find out where I wanted to land. So that's my biggest piece of advice to anybody. Pretty open ended, but it's
Mm.
not a cop out. Okay, so don't even try.
Well, I kind of relate to that because I'm kind of doing that myself as well. So
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in your shoes right now, doing that, working at bars and stuff because I'm doing the same kind of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, I feel like this has been very inspirational. I feel like a lot of people are gonna find this very helpful. And thank you for being on the show.
dude.
Yeah.
Please have me on again. This
Mm.
was awesome.
Oh
I
yes,
love.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
this was
this
great.
is great. I feel like we were able to talk
Mm.
about like stuff that I don't usually get to talk about, like some of my other passions. Like
Yeah.
Warhammer, my personal thoughts on different game titles. And
Mm.
so yeah, please have me on again.
Of course. Yeah, I'm so down. Yeah, let me know when you can be free for that one.
Yeah,
And hopefully you guys will see Liam Brown in season 3. Yeah.
awesome,
All right. But yeah, thank you for being on this podcast.
awesome. Thanks, Jay.
No worries. See ya.
See ya.
And that was the amazing Liam Brown of Knights GG. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you in another episode of Team Voices Podcast next month.